Hey guys, how are you? I hope you're all doing very well. This afternoon I'm going to be doing a movie review. This movie is a horror comedy from the United States, English language, released in the year 2014, directed by Jeff Bainer, and this film is called Life After Beth. So Life After Beth is a relationship between a young couple. You've got Beth and her boyfriend Zach. They love each other very much, but there are a few problems going on, and Zach is not really confident enough to tell Beth exactly how he feels about her, but it seems to be a loving relationship. So one day Beth decides to go hiking. She loves hiking, but Zach doesn't really. So on this occasion, Beth goes by herself. She ends up getting bitten by a snake and she dies. So understandably, this completely crushes Zach. He's depressed. He's not really getting any support from his own family, but he gets a lot of support by Beth's parents. So Maury, who is the father, he is absolutely torn to pieces by this once again, as is the case with Zach. But they get along with each other. They play chess with each other. But it's not really working because Zach just doesn't feel any comfort. So one day he comes back to the house, but no one answers the door. He's ringing the parents on the phone, but it doesn't. No one's picking up. So he believes that Beth's parents are ignoring him for some reason. So one day he goes back to the house and he does a little bit of snooping around. He comes to the back windows. He looks through and he believes he sees Beth walking around. So he's absolutely hysterical. He wants to know what the hell's going on. He's battering on the windows. He goes to Beth's grave to see if the grave has been tampered with, and there is a big hole where Beth was buried. So it actually looks like someone has climbed out. So he goes back to the home. Finally, Maury, the father, opens the door, lets Zach come in, and this is where Zach finds out that Beth has inexplicably returned from the dead. So the parents of Beth believe that this is a resurrection, is something religious, but Zach thinks that this is very strange and he is getting freaked out. So as the relationship reconnects with each other, Beth's behaviour is becoming increasingly unstable as time goes on, and there's also some strange occurrences that are happening in Zach's hometown. So this is all going to lead to a lot of complications, and what those complications are is something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Life After Beth. Initially, after seeing the trailers and getting this movie very cheap, I thought that this was going to be a Twilight type of movie. And that's the case these days. A lot of directors and a lot of authors seem to think that the horror genre is the place to make a mockery of it, basically intertwining romance with horror and basically belittling the horror genre. And I actually felt that, Twilight especially was, belittling horror fans and, completely destroying what we love. And that's what I thought Life After Beth would be. It was just a melodramatic, crappy sort of romance film with just the side plot of a ridiculous horror sort of situation. But what I loved about Life After Beth the most was the fact that no, it's not making fun of the horror genre. It is actually intertwining the horror genre to give this horror film a little bit of an extra spin. So it does come across as a Twilight style of film, but I thought that it had a lot of heart, this movie. This is a movie that is very charming, very beautiful, but at the same time very entertaining, and it's also quite scary as well. So it actually feels like it combines three different genres very well, while paying respect to fans of each genre. So you got the romance between Zach and Beth that I thought was very genuine. I thought the chemistry was there. They were very well casted, very well acted. I thought there was a lot of dry humour in the film. There's very deadpan humour, which gives a strong reminiscence of Scandinavian films, Scandinavian humour. It's a very difficult humour to really master, and for this humour to work you need a very good script, and that's once again what I thought Life After Beth had. So it had a very smart script, and the exchanges, especially between Beth and her boyfriend, were very funny, especially when Beth starts to get a little bit more aggressive. You can sense the hesitation from Zach, but you can sense that Zach's love for Beth is keeping them together. And it's basically a movie about second chances. It's a movie about telling your loved ones how you feel before tragedy strikes. And you've heard it said time and time again, tell your loved ones how you feel, because the next day could be their last and you'll regret that for the rest of your life. So at the start of the movie, Zach regrets this. It's tearing him apart, but then all of a sudden, he's got that second chance. And the movie is showing you what you would do with a second chance. And this is where Zach starts to pour out his feelings, and that connection is as strong as it's ever been. But the tragedy of the film is that it's taken Beth to die to really get Zach the courage to splash his feelings out. So on one hand you've got just a really beautiful story, and on the other hand you've got a horror film that does work in horror set pieces. I thought especially when there are strange things happening around this town, I thought there were some creepy moments. Although it doesn't take itself seriously in the horror aspect, it still has that horror feeling. It's a twist on the zombie genre without making fun of the zombie genre, which was unfortunately the case with the vampire subgenre. I thought Twilight was making fun of that unintentionally, as making it into a sappy melodramatic crapfest, whereas this movie, it steers clear of the melodrama. It's not trying to bombard you with all this cheesiness. It's just giving you a beautiful story, and it's intertwining it with something a little bit different. So I thought the acting from John C. Reilly, who plays Maury, who was Beth's father, I thought he was great. Now, initially I thought that this movie could have been a little bit ridiculous. You know, John C. Reilly likes to do movies that are more caricatures than realism. It basically, Talladega Nights, you've got Step Brothers, all those kinds of movies that are very funny, but they're just absolutely ridiculous, slapstick comedy funny. And that sort of comedy I don't think is terribly intelligent. But this movie gives a different performance. He's very, as I said, deadpan. It's very dry humour, and it's humour that is allowed because of the fact the script is very strong. So cinematography was excellent. I felt that some of the scenes, it actually felt like you were a fly on the wall. It felt like some of the dialogue was improvised, which gives it a little bit more realism to it. And I thought the acting from the supporting cast was very good. The wife of John C. Reilly, I thought she was a little bit of comedy relief. The exchanges between husband and wife were very funny as well. And just everyone else, they seem to really work with each other, and it's just a film that I thought was a lot more entertaining than I was expecting it to be. There are some scenes in this film that were absolutely beautiful, very, very heartwarming, and it's just a very charming horror film. It's got some horror elements, but as I said, all three of the genres that this movie is depicting, well actually four. You've got drama, romance, horror and comedy. All four of them don't sidetrack each other. They all blend in together to make it a worthwhile experience, and an experience that I would say came as a surprise. But my only problem with Life After Beth was the fact that I thought the ending was rushed. I thought that it was a very cop-out sort of generic Hollywood ending, and I thought it didn't complement the rest of the film. For about 80 minutes this film was fantastic, but the last 5-10 minutes I thought it was just completely rushed, and it just gives you a very unsatisfied feeling from what was a very satisfying film for the majority of it. So I just don't think Jeff Boehner really knew how to finish the movie. He had a great idea, he just didn't really know what to do with it, and he kind of dropped the ball a little bit with the end. But fortunately the end doesn't derail the whole experience. If you want a very entertaining film that has a very heartwarming and beautiful message, and at the same time not getting sidetracked by melodramatic crap, then I definitely recommend Life After Beth. And yeah, I was very surprised by it, and I ended up really liking it. So overall for Life After Beth, I'm going to give it 3.5 stars. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, keep watching movies, and I'll see you later.